awful experience going to the emergency room. My awful experience going to the emergency room. Hello, y'all. I'm Dianna, Brianne. I don't give advice, suggestions, information, recommendations. I do share with you my perspective on different topics, as is with this one. I hope you like, share, subscribe. Channel names are pinned to the top of the comment section below. Well, I got to thinking today about when you go to the ER, or at least my experience. Now, we can have an experience one time that's one way, and another experience another time that's another way. Circumstances are fluid, and they're always changing. Sometimes we're dealing with different people, different circumstances, different environments, a different day, and it can make all the difference. So every time it can be different. In the same way, going to the emergency room. I'm not going to share with you when this happened, and I'm not going to share with you why it happened, and I'm not going to share with you where it happened, because, well, I'm just not. So I don't identify the place. But the place that I had gone to, a hospital, had been a very well-respected hospital, okay? And my experiences with doctors and, the medical profession surrounding that hospital has always been good. But when I ended up in the ER, first of all, there was an extremely long wait, and I checked myself in, and I probably waited 4.5 hours, and I was told that that was a good day. Now, when you don't feel good, let me say that when you don't feel good, the last thing you want to do is be sitting on a chair waiting for them to call your name to come in the back. And that's exactly how it happened for me. It was awful, awful, awful. And so once I got in the back, well, before I got in the back, I have to say that the front people, the people that work in the front, were very, very, very nice and very professional. But once I got into the back, it was kind of a different story for me. I felt like I was just a number, and I felt like it was a very mechanical, robotic type of situation. Now, I understand doctors and nurses, especially in the ER, see all kinds of situations. They're under tremendous stress, tremendous pressure, tremendous exhaustion. They're being pulled in so many different directions. They're most often understaffed and overworked and working very, very long shifts, and often have many, many patients. Nonetheless, I'm looking at it from a patient's point of view. During my time in the emergency room, they put you in a little room, and my time there, I felt that it was, very little time was given to me to listen to exactly what I had to say. Quick judgments were being made. And things, I think, were being overlooked, little things that were kind of being overlooked. And yet I, was patient. I realized, okay, it's the way it is. Now, I believe, if at all possible, always having an advocate with you, whether it's your husband, your wife, your adult child, your old Aunt Clara, your Grandma Sue, whoever it happens to be. Often you get very different treatment when there's another person in that room. So my experience was, they came in, some of them didn't even say their name. I saw a different nurse each time, pretty much it seemed. The doctor, it was just like too quick. And at the very end, they decided to send me home. And I'm not sure at that particular time if that was a smart idea, but they did nonetheless. And the doctor had not even come into the room to tell me that they were going to send me home. They just sent the discharge planner in and put a paper in front of me and said, here, sign it, you're going home. And I said, but I don't think it's a good idea for me to go home. Now, whether it was a good idea or not a good idea, I personally think that they probably should have kept me for observation, physical observation at that time due to my physical symptoms. And yet they did not. And they ran, I think, only one test, maybe, well, they ran a couple tests, okay? But to me, there was more needed. If I was having the kind of issues at that time that I was having, they should have said, you know what, we're going to keep you here, and we're going to observe you at least for 24 hours, maybe call in a specialist and have them look at you. They did none of that. And so they referred me out to a specialist, but then you have to go to your primary doctor and you have to go through that whole maze of referrals and all that kind of stuff. Whereas when you're in the ER, they can do it all there in a pretty timely fashion. So, or if they put you in the hospital, they can get it done pretty quickly. And so my experience in the emergency room was not one that I would ever care to repeat. Not that anyone would ever want to repeat or go to an emergency room if they didn't have to, but that particular one was not the best experience. And so I think that today doctors and nurses, many of them are overworked, understaffed, exhausted, and some can lose their feeling of empathy, I believe, or maybe they're making very quick judgment calls about someone else. So for me personally, knowing what I know now, I think I would tell them if I didn't want to go home, I would tell them right up front, do not send me home. Please do not send me home. Let's get this straightened out first. And I would do everything I could to have someone there with me who could advocate for me. That's not always possible, but if we can, I think it's very, very, a very good thing. And so going to the ER when that happened was not a good experience for me. Them discharging me before I thought they should discharge me, I thought that they should have kept me at least a day for observation and to have someone come in and try to figure out what was the problem. And so they didn't do that. They didn't do any of that. And matter of fact, I didn't even see my nurse to tell me, hey, you're going to go home. It was a discharge planner that just kind of came in. And really, there were times there I felt like I was just kind of alone. I was kind of alone, even though it was very busy and there were people in the hallways and that. And so, going to the ER was not my best experience. I hope other people have had better experiences. This was a hospital that has got a very good reputation and a hospital that I've always thought highly of. So maybe it was an off day, who knows? Maybe there was a lot going on. Nonetheless, when you're sick, you want good care. And so going to the hospital, I do think it's very important to know, make sure you have everything wrote down, that you say, hey, these are my symptoms, this is what's going on. Make sure that they're listening to you, and tell them what you want. I think probably my mistake was not telling them right from the beginning, I believe I need to be admitted. I think that is probably what my biggest mistake was. Whether they would have followed up and admitted me or not, I don't know. So that was my experience. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you when, where, or why, but anybody can end up in the emergency room for any reason. Experiences can vary from, I had a great experience, a great doctor, a great nurse, they solved everything, to an experience like what I had or even worse. And so I do think it's important to have an advocate, have everything wrote down, if at all possible. I keep, I've always said, keep a little bag put away for somewhere, like an overnight bag, in case you need to grab it for whatever reason. You can grab it, and it would also double as a hospital bag if in the event that you ever need it. I think people over the age of 60, many of them have taken great health for granted for many, many years, and then the wake-up call comes of like, oh my gosh, where did this come from? And you could end up, or someone could end up in the ER or in the hospital. And so being prepared for that possibility, I think is a very, very important thing. From my house to yours, may God bless you. I hope you like, share, subscribe, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.